Hey guys, James Wilson-Taylor here for Roxanne. It's another of our video calls. We've been catching up with everybody while we're all stuck at home at the minute, but I'm delighted to say from Highly Suspect, Johnny's on the line. How are you, man?
I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. No, nice to finally get to meet you. Lots of exciting things to talk about music-wise, but I'll start this off the way we started all of these off, which is just to check. I hope you've been keeping as safe and as well as you possibly can in this incredibly odd time. How has your lockdown been treating you so far?
Honestly, I'm thriving. I'm doing pretty well right now. But it's all here, right? It's the power of the mind. I think it's easy to get depressed, and I've found ways to keep myself from that hole. So I'm doing well.
No, very good. What are those ways? I'm doing all right, man. As I've said to everyone, it's nice to have technology like this at a time like this so I can actually keep doing my job and have some kind of sense of normality going on. It's all good. How have you found then just kind of getting into a routine and stuff like that? Are you getting work done? Are you writing stuff? How's it kind of progressing for you?
Yeah, all of the above. This is such a terrible time for the world, but I think for myself personally, it's definitely allowed me to spend the proper time on writing songs and material and creating art and just getting kind of a vision together for how I see the next phase of our career going. So it's certainly, I don't want to be, saying that this is a blessing. It's not a blessing. What's happening in the world sucks, but I've managed to make the best of it thus far.
Yeah, absolutely. Making the best of an awful situation. I guess that's been a very much a recurring theme actually in all these conversations we've been having with people is that, in the line of work you guys are in, it's kind of a rarity to be able to be at home or in one place for this long a period of time. I imagine that's kind of an adjustment period, but like you say, being able to write like that, that's kind of an interesting development. How has those writing sessions kind of taken place then? Have you got your own studio set up at home? Are you working remotely with people?
Yeah, both. So I do a lot of work at home, obviously. And then, I file share with members of the band and we send ideas back and forth. I'm also working on a solo project and just that's what keeps me busy. So, yep.
Absolutely. Exciting times, man. Make the best of it. Well, let's talk about the music that's already out there in the world then, because congratulations, first of all, because especially in the US right now, these days seems to be blowing up, man. That seems to be getting everywhere right now, which is very, very cool to see. Talk to me about that song in particular. How did it come together, first of all?
Well, so it was originally written about in a lighthearted way. And if you listen to the studio recorded version, pretty lighthearted, bouncy song about an ex-girlfriend of mine. And it kind of took on this new meaning because I wrote that it's not about the pandemic at all, but the chorus certainly seems to have struck with people who can relate. They hate these days. So I think that's kind of why it's doing so well, but it originally wasn't written for that. And then, I put out the acoustic version, which kind of has a more, I don't know if you've heard it or not, but it has a more somber tone to it, which is more reflective of the times. And actually just this week put together an animated video for that, which I think we're going to put out next week. So that's exciting for the acoustic version, that is. But yeah, song's pretty straightforward. I hate these days, but we make the best of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, that is so funny you say that because, again, not the first person I've spoken to where something they've released or something they've just written recently suddenly took on this whole new meaning in the last few months. Have you noticed that in fans? I imagine there's probably been a lot of fans who suddenly relate to it in kind of a whole new way.
Yeah, I think, I'm kind of used to it because a lot of what I write about is deeply personal and it's stuff that only I would really understand, But throughout my entire career, fans have been able to take the words and apply it to their own life. So this isn't really new to me, I guess. You know what I mean? I think, and the same for me. There's plenty of songs that I listen to where I'm able to kind of grasp my own summary of what the song is about and apply it to my own life, even if the writer didn't have anything of what I'm thinking about involved during their writing process. So that's the one beautiful thing about art is it is interpretive. It's open to anybody's interpretation. So
yeah, nice to be able to have something like that people can connect to in a very specific way right now. Yeah, it definitely opens up that community a lot. And I want to talk on the music video there as well. You say the animated one's coming for the acoustic thing, but yeah, the actual music video for the original version of the song, very ambitious, very, very cool. Talk to me about how that concept came together. It's very striking.
Yeah, so Tony Cavallero, who's in the Righteous Gemstones, he's just a really funny guy, friend of mine. He's been a fan of the music for a while, and I've been a fan of his work for a while. We kind of like slid into each other's DMs at some point on Instagram and got talking about how it would be great to collaborate on something at some point. And at the time that video was made, we were unfortunately overseas. Well, not unfortunately, it was actually great to be overseas, but we weren't able to kind of be there on set with him. But I had left my dog behind with my friend in Atlanta, and that's where they filmed the video. So yeah, Tony and the band, we just went back and forth on concepts and came up with kind of like, this story that's got a little bit of dark humor to it, but also represents, how it must feel. And I actually can't relate to it that much because I live alone, but what it must feel like to be stuck in a quarantine setting with family, and he's just a brilliant guy. He's a genius. I really got to give credit where it's due. Most of these videos, we have 100% control over what happens, pretty much everything. We've directed or co-directed, but this one we kind of let Tony take the wheel, and because we just think he's brilliant, and he nailed it. So we're very stoked on that video. I think it came out great.
Yeah, it came out really, really well. And it's nice to hear that it was a big collaborative effort in that way, because you guys do strike me as very collaborative band and collaborative artists, particularly when you look at this latest album. I mean, we'll come on to various aspects of it, but a couple of those collabs in particular I want to talk about. Let's talk about Gojira, because that's such a cool pairing and mixing of genres in there. How did you connect with them, and how did that track come together?
So when I moved to the apartment building that I'm sitting in right now, 10 years ago, my landlord, found out that we were in a band. This was before we had anything on the radio. It was before we had signed to the label, any of that. And he had said to me, "Hey, you're not the only band in this building. There's a guy that lives down the hall. His name is Joe, and he's in a French heavy metal band." And I was not like a huge heavy metal fan at the time. But I was interested, so I looked up and I was like blown away that this guy was right down the hall. So I don't know, maybe like a week later, I wound up seeing him in the coffee shop around the corner, and I just kind of came up like, a naive person. And I was like, "Hey man, I'm in a band too. You got any advice?" type of thing. And he was actually in the midst of renegotiating a contract at that point. And he was like, "Yeah, we'll talk at some point." And then through the weeks and the months and the years that we lived in the same apartment building, and his brother still lives here too, in the same apartment building, Mario, we just developed like a very true friendship, like completely organic. I mean, I've babysat his children before. We are thick. We've taken trips together. We're not just like music buddies. We're neighbors, So basically, we had written the majority of the song. I'd say 95% of the song, and I took it to Joe last year. And I was like, "Hey, I think you'd be really great on this song." We had been kind of playing around with the idea of doing a track together for a long time, and this one just kind of seemed to fit. So we got together one day. I brought the track over, all the instrumentals, and we smoked a giant joint. And 4 hours later, the song was done. We just sang our hearts out, and it was over. So it was really fun, organic, great time. It was a good one.
Yeah, it works very, very nicely. It's fun when it's like just that genre blending, man. Because again, we look at the album as a whole, we go from that and we go to Young Thug, and you think like that is, I mean, it's such a broad spectrum of people, but again, works really nicely. Talk to me about that collaboration.
Yeah, so that one's been 4 years in counting as well. I've known Jeffrey for, I guess, now coming on 5 years, but we're, I had brought him a couple beats a long time ago, and it just it didn't really work right. But finally sent him this one, and he was just into it, very into it. And he's a hard man to pin down, but he's a really, really nice person and a great guy. And he just really connected with this one. So yeah, that was history. And honestly, so I'm a fan of Jeffrey and his work. I think he's a genius. I think he's a modern day Bowie. I love that he put out an album where he's wearing a dress at a time where that wasn't really widely accepted in the hip hop community, maybe. He's just a forward thinking person. So I'm super stoked that he was into the song and wanted to participate and be a part of it. And I think, what we were trying to show with what the two songs we just discussed is like, it is 2000, or at the time 2019. It's 2020. It's a modern era. So fuck a genre. Seriously. Like, why can't we? I just like music. That's all I care about. I like art, I like music. So to put a song that's predominantly featuring a heavy metal singer and then have a song that's got a well-known rapper on it just shows everybody we like music. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people were startled by that. A lot of people that are stuck in their, you know, it has to be this or it has to be that. And we're telling you that, no, we're going to do what we want to do. And maybe that comes across as selfish, but I honestly wouldn't make music if I didn't enjoy doing it.
Yeah,
you know,
no, of course.
So.
Yeah, no, I think that it's funny that it feels like in the last couple of years in particular, everyone's kind of caught up with that as a concept a lot more. Do you know what I mean? I feel like every band I speak to, they're much more interested. Maybe they have their own certain sound or signature sound or whatever, but they really are interested in looking outside of their traditional
festivals and the internet have really helped with the progression of that. Because when I was in high school, you couldn't be a punk kid and a hip hop kid at the same time. It was looked down upon, right? There were social circles and cliques that, you know, you had to identify with one thing or another. But I think, you know, after Lollapalooza became very successful, and then you have all these other festivals around the world that just gained so much popularity. And now, you know, fans are able to go and see Duran Duran on one stage and then walk 15 feet and see Lizzo on the other and Billie Eilish on another and Gojira on the next. And, you know, festivals have really helped people broaden their horizons. You know, it's helped me for sure. You know, there are definitely bands that I never thought that I would be into if I just heard their name, you know, but then you see them because you have the opportunity to at a festival. You're just kind of there and you're walking past and you're like, oh, wow, that sounds really cool, you know? So
any in particular you can remember there? Any particular festival discoveries you've had? Just to put you on the spot.
I got to be honest with you, festivals are like a giant blur for me. I always have a lot of fun. I have a lot of fun at festivals, so yeah.
That's fair.
Most people can relate to that. So.
Absolutely, it's what.
Usually at every festival, I manage to find something that just takes me to a different place. So.
Oh, cool. I mean, in terms of these collaborations, then, because like you say, those two we just talked about, old friends of yours, been building for it seems like quite a while, just waiting for the right moment. Are there any more people like that, whether they're friends or otherwise, where it's like on the back burner, one day we're going to get that song right? Is there any more artists like that? Absolutely,
but you know, I don't want to take away the element of surprise. But it's not that big of a, once you're in this industry, once you're, you know, succeeding, it's not that big, you know, you're able to get in touch with pretty much anyone you want to at a certain point. And there are definitely a few artists that I've been going back and forth with that, you know, hopefully we peg it at some point and continue to broaden the spectrum of sound, you know.
Yeah, fingers crossed, man. Exciting stuff. You mentioned, of course, briefly before, solo project. You are hard at work at the minute. What is the status of that at the minute? Are you kind of in the writing stage still? Is it mixing? What kind of things are you at?
Yeah, some songs are just being written. Some songs are being mastered. You know, it's a broad range right now. I've got some of them done. I don't know what's going to make the final cut. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to start releasing singles or if I'm going to put out a full album just out of the gate. I'm not too positive on that yet. What I want to do is kind of get, you know, a good collective body of work, say 20 or 30 songs together, and then kind of take it and narrow it down to what I think is the best and has the best overall feeling, and then decide what to do with it from there. But right now, the beauty, if you thought like MCID had no box and we were all over the place there, whew, what I'm doing for the solo shit is like, I don't even know. I can't define it. I can't define it. It's just sonic textures and lyrics that I like, and that's it. So I have no expectations, none whatsoever, of the reception, nor do I care. It's really my therapy to just do 100% what the fuck I want to do, and it feels great. And honestly, it sounds really good too. For the few people that have heard some of the demos that I've been putting together, they're like as excited as I am. So yeah.
Yeah, you seem hyped for it, man. Oh, I will be. No, you seem hyped for it. That's very, very cool. Was that a lockdown-centric project, or did you have stuff beforehand when you've been like out on the road, or when you were doing the MCID stuff? Was that, when did it kind of come together?
I've always been, you know, making my own stuff in the background and not treating it as a priority. And I still don't treat it as a priority. Highly Suspect is my priority. I want to make that clear to everybody that's out there. So I feel like a lot of people, you know, our last album only came out, 8 months ago? It hasn't even been that long.
Yeah.
But it's recent, but people are like, oh my God, he's working on solo stuff. What does this mean? It means I'm going to do both, you know? I'm so excited for Highly Suspect's next album, and also the solo stuff. But yeah, so I've always been writing my own material, but I definitely have had more time to focus on really polishing that up and really getting into a different space. And yeah, it's just exciting.
Yeah,
I feel
good.
thankful to be able to have the ability to create.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, using that time wisely. We're all stuck in this situation together, man. It's good to see people, taking the opportunities where they can and trying to make the best of it, like you said. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. It's been really, really nice to chat to you and get to meet you finally. But I've admired what you've done with the album, and like I say, keep doing what you're doing. Look forward to hearing solo stuff, more new music from the band too. And yeah, just look after yourself. We'll see you in the UK when we can.
Where are you calling from exactly right now? Where are you?
I am in London right now. I'm in South
Wonderful.
London. Yeah.
Well, I'll give you this little factoid too before we go. I've recently started my very own record label.
Oh yeah.
And I have signed 2 bands from England.
Oh, you brought them from over here, did you? Very, very nice. Very
I'm poaching
cool.
from your talent, so be on the lookout for that stuff too.
That's very
exciting
cool.
times.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, yeah, all the best to you, and we'll catch you when we see you over here on these shores. Good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, James.